Paul.
And I'm Roger Debit.
And welcome to At the Seminars with Fiscal and Debit.
I just love animation, Gene, and it seems the technology gets better and better every year.
You're going to be amazed at how simple things were done in the old days. And even better, you'll get enlightened about the new pronouncements related to accounting for leases.
But Gene, I thought leases were pretty much covered by FASB 13.
Ah, they were. But the FASB felt that a major change was in order. And one of the big points here is that accountants will now need to apply a right of use model.
Wow, that's quite a change in philosophy.
It sure is. So to get us started, let's take a look at our first animated, or should I say, unanimated show. It will cover some of the definitions.
Yes, this is an original version of what later became the high-tech 3D blockbuster animated movie about a special race car. Here's a clip from the pilot of Autos.
Daggum! You sure is a fancy one! Who are you and what you doing way out here in the middle of nowhere?
Why, I'm Thunder McKing, and I'm a race car.
Howdy, I'm Tornado, and if you ever need a tow, I'll spin you out of here quick as you can say, yee-haw! But you know, there ain't no race tracks out here, don't you?
Yep, I'm just passing through on my way to the track to be leased for a big race.
Lease? What's a lease?
It's a contract for an asset for some period of time in exchange for consideration.
My mama always told me you were supposed to be considerate to everyone.
I've got to get back to the track before the date of the commencement of the lease.
Well, didn't you say your owner was already signed a lease?
Well, yeah, but that's the inception of the lease. The commencement of the lease won't occur until I actually get to the track and can be used.
Woo-wee! They sure do make things difficult these days, don't they?
Vroom vroom, beep beep.
Wow, who are you?
Allow me to introduce you to the beautiful Miss Polly Porsche.
So your owner's going to have a lease liability, huh?
Well, no, he's going to be getting lease payments, you know. That's going to include any contingent rentals, the residual value guarantees, and any term option penalties.
Sounds like he's in the driver's seat.
Well, that's true that he gets the payments, but he also has a lease liability.
What?
How do you figure that, Polly?
Well, your owner has an obligation to allow the lessee to use you for a specified period of time.
So I'm being used?
That's the whole point. You're what's known as a right of use asset.
I feel used already.
Well, then maybe you should head over to my daddy's place. He's a used car salesman, get it? He's a used car.
Well, what did you think about that one, Roger?
Whoa, that was pretty rough around the edges. Have to admit, I prefer the new version much better. I've got to give it a thumbs down.
I don't know. It's important to get some of these definitions down, and the new standard spends quite a bit of time on that to lay a good foundation, and they covered some of them pretty well. I give it a thumbs up.
Well, Gene, I'm assuming this new pronouncement will have to apply to all leases?
Generally speaking, yes, but there are a few exceptions.
So what's our next unanimation?
Well, this is the first take on what would become a hugely popular television cartoon and now a major motion picture in live action and CGI. Let's take a look at some of the basics of lease accounting for the lessee in The Snurds.
So, how are you Snurds coming along with those financial statements?
Well, we're doing pretty good, Papa Snurd, but I'm having a little trouble with this sneeze. What's a sneeze? Achoo! Not that funny, Snurd. It's a lease for Snurds. So, how do we get started, Papa Snurd?
Well, Snurdette, you have to apply 3 basic concepts: recognition, measurement, and presentation.
What will we have to recognize?
I recognize Papa Snurd, Smarty Snurd, and Snurd.
You'll have to recognize interest expense, amortization, and impairment losses, as well as any changes in the liability due to reassessment of the payments in the income statement.
Why, very good, Smarty Snurd.
Papa Snurd, look! Oh no! It's Gargle now!
So, you silly snurds think you have it all figured out, but you have no idea how to measure this lease. How will you ever figure out that the initial measurement has to be at the present value of the lease payment, and subsequent to that, you'll reassess the liability, amortize the right of use asset, and reevaluate the right of use asset?
Well, I suppose we could use the information you just gave us, Garglemouth.
Curses! Foiled again by those annoying little snurds!
Well, Gene, what'd you think of that one?
One thing's for sure, they weren't short on information, so I'll give it a thumbs up.
And I suppose if they hadn't figured out how to do it right, they'd all have been kind of blue.
Ooh.
But you know what? I'll give it a thumbs up anyway, just because of originality.
So, Roger, what's our final unanimation?
This is one of my childhood favorites, and it's amazing to see what it looked like back in the early days before they animated it.
Should I assume we're going to look at the accounting by the lessor?
Right you are, Gene. Let's take a peek at the original of everyone's favorite cuddly little bear from the 1926 classic book, Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, bother. Oh, what am I going to do?
Oh dear, what's the matter, Pew?
I've got to lease these money pots to Bunny, and I have no idea how to handle the accounting.
Oh dear, that's terrible. What are we going to do, Pew?
Well, Oinklet, I don't know whether to use the performance obligation approach or derecognition approach.
Well, perhaps we should consult Poop. He seems to know a lot of things.
Ooh, I remember in my day when we accounted for leases, we used FASB 13. And under FASB 13, a leasee would have two categories. And if you were a lessor, we would have 3 types of leases.
But Hoot, we don't use FASB 13 anymore.
And then under FASB 13,
Come along, Oinklet.
we would
It's time to go.
consider the lessees, the lease.
Pew, look, here comes Emo.
Oh,
Maybe she
good.
can help.
Good.
Isn't it a lovely day, Emo?
Oh, I don't know. It'll probably rain. Usually does. Probably gonna fail my peer review too.
Emo, I'm trying to figure out how to handle this lease of my money pots to Bunny.
And he has no idea how to do it.
Well, I suppose you've got to figure out whether you're retaining any risks or benefits or not.
Why would that matter, Emo?
I don't know. It says so in the script.
Hello, and what are you 3 doing today?
Oh, Christopher Wren, we're trying to figure out the proper way to account for this lease.
Well, Pew, if any risks or benefits are retained, then you'll use the performance obligation approach. And if the risks or benefits are not retained, then you'll use the derecognition approach. Silly old stuffed animal.
Hooray for Christopher Wren! He saved the day again.
Why the sad face, Emo?
I don't know. All this talk makes me feel like I'm sitting through a continuing education class.
Oh, Emo.
Whoa, that was disturbingly heavy. I don't remember Winnie the Pooh dealing with such difficult topics when I was a child.
Well, Roger, part of the problem is that you were a child about 150 years ago.
Me? What about you? You tried to play the young guy in the show, but you know, you're